In this video, I'm going to be brutally honest with you guys. I'm going to share exactly the reasons why I left the care home after working there for over 5 years, 6 months to work in the NHS. The reasons why I left a job that pays me £21 an hour to a job that pays me about £14 an hour. The reasons why I left a job where I choose the days that I want to work to go to a job that I don't have control over all the days that I have to work. The reasons why I left a job that is relatively calm to a job that is very chaotic. I'm going to explain to you the reasons why I left a job that pays me about £35,000 a year to a job that pays me about £28,400 a year. There must be some good reasons. There must be. And in this video, I'm going to be brutally honest with you guys. So if you're interested, stay tuned. Stop that. So hi guys, welcome once again to my channel. My name is Anel Griselda. If you're seeing me for the very first time, I recently left the care home in the UK. So I've always been a care home nurse. I recently left the care home after working there for over 5 years and 6 months, and I moved to the emergency department. I made a video about it recently. If you haven't watched it, I'll leave a link here, and then I'll leave a screenshot of the thumbnail on the screen so you can go and watch that video. Guys, there must be a reason. There definitely must be reasons why I left a care home that I can park my car even when I'm traveling to Ghana. For instance, when I was traveling to Ghana to go get married to my lovely husband, I was in Ghana for over a month. My car the entire time was parked at my care home's car park. For over a month, there was not one issue. And now I'm working at a place where even as a staff member, I park at the wrong place and I'm giving a parking ticket. And this is the second one that I have received. Parking tickets where I'm asked to pay £70. Parking as a staff member. And even when I park at the right place, I pay about £5 every single day. Explain to me why I left £21 per hour to £14 or less an hour. Explain to me why I left a place where I had my own office when I'm working. I had my own office, I had my own seat, nurses station, to a place where I am standing from beginning of the shift to the end unless I'm on break. Explain to me why I left a place where I was choosing my shifts. Before the month, I'll tell my boss, hi, God bless you, Debbie. I'll tell my boss, my manager, I want to work this day, this day, this day, this day, because my husband is working this day, this day, this day, this day. And that's exactly what I'll get. Explain to me why I left that to a place where I only have maximum 5 requests, so many rules. Explain to me why I left a place where I could confidently choose I only want 9 shifts and that's all I'll get, and I've worked 9 shifts for years, to a place where you cannot choose only 9 shifts. No, you cannot. Who are you to choose only 9 shifts? And the struggle of waking up early in the morning. Now me, Nell, I leave the house before 7 and drive for longer period before I get to work. Explain to me why I left all of that. There should be reasons. And like I said, I'm going to be very honest in this video. So then interesting thing is that in my previous video where I shared the life update that I have left, I saw comments under that video. Honestly, the comments under that video made my day. Till date, I still go back to read them. Everybody in the comment section was very positive. People were encouraging me and congratulating me, and you guys are just wonderful. I love you all. And so many people were trying to guess the reasons why I left, and there's one that got loads of likes from you guys. So the person said, and I'm going to leave it on the screen so you all can see. So the person was like, I can see Nanelle is now preparing herself to move to the States. She wants to gain NHS, specifically ED or ICU experience before leaving. Good move and congratulations. And this person's comment had 78 likes. I mean, and over 12 replies, and people are saying, I thought so too, I agreed to, and all of that. And then someone is saying, Anel, if you want to leave to the States, please do not sell your house. Guy, if I decide to move to the States, we are not going to sell this house. No, we won't. So many comments. But there are some very obvious reasons that I left that people are not even saying. So let me start from when I first decided to leave. So in a nursing home, I've always wanted to leave one day, right? But the first time that I really wanted to leave was when I was pregnant with my son. So at this time, I was having issues with my deputy manager and one other nurse at work, and I was not really happy at the workplace. So I was telling myself, oh God, after maternity leave, I'm not coming back. So during my maternity period, I interviewed for other jobs. In fact, I got another job, but this job was really delaying with the COS. Remember, at that time, I had only been here for about 3 years, so I still needed sponsorship to be able to work. And this job was delaying with the COS application. They even gave me a start date. Meanwhile, they had not given me the COS to apply for my visa. And then they requested for my reference from my employer. And then my administrator, I met him one time and he's like, why are you leaving us? I lied. I said, well, now because of the baby, I can only work 30 hours. I cannot work the 30, whatever. whatever hours that you people want me to work. He said, that's not a problem. Just tell them, they will let you. I said, well, these people are paying £20 an hour. Because at that time, I think we were being paid 16 or something. I don't remember. Either 16 or 18. And then he was like, have you not heard? From Monday, our pay is £21 per hour. And then this deputy manager that I was having issues with had left. The nurse I was having issues with had left too. And then they were one of the main reasons why I wanted to leave. So now, those two people had left. They had increased our salary. They were willing to give me the number of hours I wanted. These other people that I interviewed for, they were delaying in giving me the COS. So I'm like, why don't I just go back, you know? And I went back, right? And later on, they got me the COS, but I told them I no longer needed it. I stayed with my employer. And the second time that I really wanted to leave to the NHS was when I had that issue that had the police involved and the coroner involved and all of that. If you haven't watched that video, I'll leave that link here as well. To me, I said that was God's sign that, Danielle, you were staying here too long, you have to go. I felt like God was making me uncomfortable so that I would leave. And I felt like that was my sign from God. And I remember in the comment section, loads of people were like, that can never happen in the NHS because there are always doctors. That can never happen in the NHS. You understand? And I believed it. And it even made me do a research. I did a survey on my community page. I don't know if you guys remember. I was like, which area or department are nurses more likely to get into trouble? And I think Carehome won. And even when you go through the issues on the NMC referrals, I think there are lots of care home nurses over there. So I feel like in care homes, you are more at risk because there are no doctors involved usually, and then you don't have a lot of supervision, especially when you're working the night shift, so you can easily fall into trouble. So I'm like, I have to go to the NHS. A lot of my friends were encouraging me, and I know, move to the NHS, especially my friends who were in the care home and have left to the NHS. Danny, my friend Daniel, always encouraging me. Adama as well, always encouraging me to leave. So I was like, well, I'm almost due to get my ILR. Why don't I wait for my ILR? Because after the ILR, when I apply for a job and I pass my interview, that's that. I don't need for them to apply for COS, for me to apply for a visa, for me to, no, there's no need for that. So why don't I just wait for my ILR? So that's all I was waiting for. By the way, this video is proudly sponsored by Lemfi. So for those of you who are hearing Lemfi for the first time, Lemfi is an international money transfer company that allows you to send money from the UK, from Canada and the US to over 10 different African countries. You can send money to Ghana, to Nigeria, to Cameroon, Senegal, Ivory Coast, Benin, Tanzania, Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda at zero transfer charges, zero fees, nothing at all. And on top of that, they have the best rate on the market. Compare Lemfi's rate to any other app, you know, they are always the best. And so I recommend Lemfi if you're in the UK, you're in Canada or the US, and you want to transfer money to friends and family in any of these countries that I have mentioned, okay? As well, if you use the code NANEL, you get £15 cash back on your first transfer above £100, okay? And then you can also always generate your own referral link and then send to friends and family. So when they use your link, you get a bonus as well from Lemfi. Lemfi is the best, and ever since I discovered them, that's what my friends and my family have been using. Thank you, Lemfi, for sponsoring today's video. And immediately I got my ILR, I started filling the applications for different NHS jobs, right? So that was one of the immediate things that prompted me to leave. However, let me be honest as well. When I was pregnant with my son, I got sick. I think they discovered a fibroid or whatever. I was seriously ill. I was hospitalized whilst I was pregnant. I could not even move. In fact, for me to even get up from the toilet seat, from the water closet, my husband had to help me get up. That was how bad it was. I could not, that severe pain in my abdomen. And my inflammatory markers were high. I was in the hospital for days. I was crying, like it was really bad. And when I was discharged from the hospital, I had to come back to work. And I remember one of my midwives was saying that, honestly, if you were in the NHS, you could have gotten the opportunity to stay at home from this moment till you give birth. And I had to go to work because I would not be paid. And that was because I was working in the private sector. When I was in the hospital, the whole time that I was hospitalized with my pregnancy, the whole week I was paid like £70. And that one I had to fill this gov.uk form, whatever. I was not paid. I was severely ill. I was not paid. And I know people who had at-risk pregnancy or issues with pregnancy like myself, who stayed home from like 20 weeks of pregnancy until they delivered, and they were paid. They were paid some sort of sick something. They sorted them out. I don't know the details, but they were sorted out. They were asked to stay home and they were not broke. They received money from their NHS employers. So I was like, no, I have to critically think. Sometime the last year, December, or 2 years ago, December, when we had just recently moved into this house, I had COVID. My husband had COVID. My baby had COVID. I was in the house for weeks. I was not paid. So I'm like, this place is not friendly if you're likely to get ill and all of that. It's not really friendly. If I was in the NHS, I could have some sort of sick pay or sick whatever. You understand? So imagine if I had no money at all as backup and I was that sick. What will £70 a week do me from the government? It wasn't helpful. So I thought about all these things, and now I have a baby, and babies easily fall sick. My son was recently in the hospital for a severe domestic accident. Honestly, I was in the hospital with my baby. You know, when you are with pedics, you have to be there with them the entire time that they are in the hospital. I was with them. My husband and I were running shifts. I would go there and sleep with my son, and then in the morning my husband will come. So we were both off work, and I was not getting paid for my son's sickness. If I was in NHS, I would have gotten that. So I honestly feel like if you have little children, you are in the process of making babies, or you're in the process of starting your family, these things can happen, and then most private employers will not pay you when it comes to these things. So you have to consider. So that is one major reason that the NHS is a bit more understanding and is better in terms of sick leave, maternity leave, and all of that. Because now, if I decide to have another baby, I'm thinking my husband is going to really suffer, because a lot of the bills is going to fall on him. Because what will £500 a month help? I can't help with much in the house. So a lot of the burden will be on him, and that will be unfair. Meanwhile, I can go somewhere, I'll get a bit more. And for those of you who are new to my channel, I have a video where I compared maternity salary for Carehome and maternity salary for NHS. I compared it. I did this video with Vivian. I'll leave a screenshot of it here so you can go and watch after this.
Vivian Oseni, if you don't know her already. And today we're just going to compare our pay slips. Vivian works in the NHS, and as most of you know already, I work in a care home.
Clearly, I mean, people in the NHS get paid more when it comes to maternity leave. So I'm like, let me consider all of this, because obviously I'm only 30 years. God willing, I'd like to have more children in the future. So why should I put myself in a care home for all of that, when in the NHS, should I have another pregnancy, I'll be paid better? Should I get sick so my children get sick? They have things in place for all of that. So that is the obvious reason that I wasn't even seen in the comments. Like, that is the most obvious ones, right? Now, the second reason that I left is, I've said it so many times, I don't have a lot of nursing experience back in Ghana. After my rotation, or what most people will say, national service, I came to the UK. So I don't have a lot of nursing experience. And then most of the nursing experience I have was in that care home. And in that care home, we don't do much, okay, in terms of nursing skills. There's not much to do. So I'm like, God, this is not the kind of nurse I want to be. I remember when COVID first came, like COVID in 2020, when everybody was scared, a channel in Ghana asked me for an interview on social media where I was going to talk about how we are dealing with COVID in the UK. And what they didn't know was that I was a care home nurse. So honestly, when somebody gets COVID, we test the person is positive, we send the person to the hospital, and that's it. We were not given any special COVID medication. We're not running any lab tests. We're not doing nothing. All we're concerned about is all the isolation measures, making sure that we are wearing PPE, making sure that we are feeding the person, checking the person's vital signs, personal care. That's all we're doing. We're not really managing it any unique way, right? So I didn't even know how it was being managed in the UK, because we were not doing anything basically for them. So I called my friends who were in the NHS. I called a couple of people before the interview so that I would get their knowledge as well, and the things that they told me that they were doing. So we also will do a D-dimer, and we'll do this and we'll do that. I said, God, what is that? Hey! Then I knew that I was getting very dull, because a lot of things that they were saying were new to me. I was like, what? My friends know all this? I don't know nothing. No wonder when I try to solve English questions, it's very difficult for me. So my friends are doing all these things, and all I'm doing is vital signs and at most wound dressing, at most blood sample. Meanwhile, all I brag about that I know how to do so well are care plans. As for care plans, I have to do a book on care plans. I have been commended by our regional manager on my care plans. I have showed people how to make care plans for their OSCE, and they've been successful. As for care plans, I'm champion. So maybe I should do a book on care plans. So that's all I could do. Hey, no. You also have to go to NHS and learn. So I was now looking for an agency. So at the time I was registered with an agency where sometimes I would do a few shifts over time when I had the chance. So I told this agency that, can they send me to the ward so that I can get experience? And it looked like they were not. They prefer people that had hospital experience to send them to the hospitals. They were not sending care home nurses to the hospitals, especially if you have no experience in the hospital, because it's totally different. So I was looking for a way to at least get hospital experience as well, but I was struggling. I'm like, no, I have to leave. So after ILR, after everything, now I applied and now I am in here. But let me also say that the reason why I chose ED, or the reason why I wanted ICU, was because when I was doing my interview, right, I interviewed for neonatal intensive care unit, I interviewed for theater, endoscopy, blah blah blah, and then I interviewed for trust wide, right? And the theater and endoscopy people, in my mind, I told myself that even when they give me the job, I'll switch to the ICU or switch to the ED. In my mind, I knew that that's what I wanted. When I interviewed for the trust wide, that one, they are interviewing for any vacancy in any of the departments. So when I interviewed for that, they gave me a list of all the departments in the hospital that were short. So they said we should choose according to our preference. You should make 3 choices: your first choice, your second choice, your third choice. There was ICU there, but the hours available was 27 hours. And I know that 27 hours or something, you are not considered the permanent staff. Then I saw ED, and then I saw 30 hours. Then I saw it's considered permanent. So I decided to just go for the ED. I would have chose ICU. And the reason why I was choosing the tough areas that most people would not like because it's so much is that I feel like I've wasted almost 6 years of my life doing nothing as a nurse. No disrespect to any care home nurse, honestly, but I feel like I can make up for the time lost when I work in these areas as an ICU nurse or as an ED nurse. And like I said, I've interviewed Nisi, who did it, right? And I've interviewed my friend Daniel, who has also done it. Daniel went from care home to ED. Nisi went from care home to ICU.
You left the care home to the NHS. How long were you in the care home for?
I worked there for 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
And then, so what made you want to leave to the NHS?
To be honest, when I was coming to the UK, I only wanted to go to the care home because I was attracted by the money, the package that they were giving us. And then when I got there, it was really nice because it was a good introduction to nursing in the UK. And then after staying there for a while, I felt like I was just doing the same thing over and over again. And knowing myself, I'm the kind of person who likes to have challenges around me, like learning constantly. So it started to become boring. And one of the aims I had coming here was to explore. And I had always wanted to work in like a specialized unit, A&E, and ICU. So I started looking from there. And when I got the chance, I just moved.
I always say that if I'm to move to NHS, I'll either be in A&E or ICU.
And they are doing great. So I believe that if I put myself in that situation, I'll be forced to learn. My people, now I go to the library. Now I'm going back to the basics learning. If let's say somebody comes to the hospital and then they diagnose the person of, let's say, cholecystitis, obviously I know what it is from nursing school, but I go back to refresh my mind exactly on everything, the pathophysiology, the medications, the contraindications. I go back to learn everything. I always write down conditions that I have seen, and then I come back to the house and I watch videos on them. I refresh my memory on them and all of that because I want to really learn fast. I want to make up for all the time that I have lost in the nursing home. So I'm really learning very fast. And I've realized that ever since I started doing that, whenever I try to solve NCLEX questions, now they are much easier. I've gone from scoring, let's say, 25% in an NCLEX sample exam to scoring 65% in just 1 month of being in the ED. So for those who are also saying that I want to go to the US, that is also very true because although my family and I, we have not really decided that we want to go to America because one, my husband says for us to go, he has to also get his British passport first. Meanwhile, he came like 2 years after I came, so that means we have to wait for a while. That's one. Number two, I also feel like you can make it in the UK. If you add side hustles and stuff, you can definitely make it in the UK. So as for the US, my mind is not certain. However, I would definitely write the NCLEX whether I'll go to the US or not. I always want a backup. For those of you who know me, you know I always want a backup. I started the NCLEX process, then I stopped so many times. And even before I applied for my ILR, I was worried that because I wasn't allowed to do a side hustle, maybe YouTube could be a problem. So because of that, I made sure my family and I, we had an American visa. So that should our ILR be denied, we can go there. An American visa, they usually give 5 years. We can go there. And in that 5-year period, I'll use that to write my NCLEX, do my processes, and then get my green card with my family so that if we have to leave the UK, we have a backup. So as well, even though I have my ILR here, my son has his British passport and all of that, I always want a backup. As for NCLEX, I'm writing it. Whether I'll go to the US or not, I'll write. I don't care if it's waste of money, but I will write it just in case. Especially when these rows started happening in Belfast and Northern Ireland about immigrants and Muslims and all of that. I'm like, no, that's too much. The people that I thought loved me, like Northern Ireland of all places, like I would leave. But I'm still not certain. However, after working in the ED and knowing a few things, now I feel so smart and I feel like now I know everything. Like me, I'm interpreting ECG. Me, now if there's an ECG, I know what it means. I'm doing things that I never thought I could know how to do. For the first time in my life, me, I've given chest compressions on a real human being, code blue, like all of that. And the skills I'm developing, the skills I now have in just 1 month too, and the knowledge that I am gaining, the trainings that they have booked for me, now I can use the Encompass or Epic, the skills and the knowledge there. I'm doing VBGs. So those who don't know VBGs, I mean venous blood gases, and then I can interpret it. Now, when somebody comes with alcohol withdrawal, before I read the plan of the doctor, I know the medications that are going to be prescribed. I almost know the dosage that they are going to give to the person. I know exactly what to do in just 1 month of induction, in just 1 month though. And that is the kind of nurse that I want to be. I want to be somebody that immediately somebody says this, I know, like I don't have to Google. So I am gaining so much knowledge. I am learning so many things, my skills, like, so now I feel like I know too much, or I feel like in 1 month I've learned this. Only God knows what I'm going to learn in 1 year of being there. And I feel like with these skills and these things that I'm doing, this experience, I don't deserve $28,400 a year. I deserve something like $100,000 a year. I mean, imagine ED or ICU experience on your CV. If I'm going to the US, I'll be earning quite a lot of money. I mean, you know, so that is also the reason, right? But like I said, I have not really been definite that I'll go to the US. Is a lot. I mean, I've been here for 5 years. Look at all the stuff we've bought. If we had to move, it will be, I should be starting life all over again. Now going to get provisional driver's license, looking for a house to rent again, and it's a lot. It's a lot. So we haven't really decided yet, but I would definitely write the NCLEX, especially now that I'm gaining so much knowledge and I am gaining so many skills. I have some NCLEX apps on my phone and I join a lot of NCLEX groups on WhatsApp. The questions that they put in now, they are not as difficult as initially when I was in a care home. That's the big difference. They don't respect me at all. I don't have an office. Nobody knows me. Like, guys, that's the truth. What do you think?